Thank you for joining us on WAVY.com, getting you set for our special playoff edition of the Washington Huddle, 10:30 Friday night on Fox 43. And Brian, you've been saying this has been a long time coming. That we've
a little bit.
Never hosted a playoff edition of the Washington Huddle.
No, this is the first playoffs in 5 years. This is only the fourth year of the Huddle, so this is uncharted waters for us on the Huddle.
And interestingly enough, the last time the Washington football team, formerly known as the word we can't say, clinched the NFC East, they also did it against the Eagles, I believe. So maybe a bit of history repeating itself. But what do we see in this one? It's obvious who they're going up against with Tom Brady. I guess overall thoughts as we head into this game.
I think the problem is Washington's offense, or lack of offense. They have trouble moving the ball through the air. Alex Smith had no mobility against the Eagles on Sunday night. So Washington likes to establish the run with Antonio Gibson and J.D. McKissick and Peyton Barber. But guess what? Tampa Bay is the top rushing defense in the league. They only surrender 80 yards per game. That is the tops in the league. So that doesn't bode well for Washington. And Tampa also likes to get after the quarterback. They have more sacks than Washington does. Not a good sign for Alex Smith.
Now, speaking of quarterbacks, we cannot talk about Tampa Bay and not talk about the six-time Super Bowl champion, Tom Brady. But the interesting thing is, you talk about Washington's defense. They are very, very good in pressuring quarterbacks. Chase Young, we know everybody tried to make a big deal out of that when he walked off the field in Philadelphia saying he wants Tom Brady.
Of course he does.
I know, who wouldn't?
Yeah, he's in the playoffs. He's a rookie. Of course he wants to play against Tom Brady.
He wants the challenge, and I think anybody would respect that.
It's both this bulletin board material for professionals like the Buccaneers. I mean, come on. How much more motivation do they need? It's a playoff game in the NFL. So some rookie said he wants to play Tom Brady. Big deal.
But I am curious to see how Jack Del Rio's defense is going to do against Tom Brady, because anybody who has watched him for any length of time knows that as good as he is, his kryptonite is any good defensive line, any good pass rush. You look back to those New York Giants teams. I'm not starting to compare teams here, but those New York Giants teams in the Super Bowl, those were the reasons he lost those Super Bowls.
And the Eagles' Super Bowl win, they got to Brady one time.
Once.
And he fumbled.
And he fumbled. Right. So that game, he threw for more yards than any quarterback ever had in a losing effort. But like you said, he got to him. They got to him that one time. Fumbled, that was your game ender right there.
Here's what I think Jack Del Rio has to look out for. I think Tampa Bay is going to avoid Tom Brady getting hit and getting hurt by that defensive front of Washington. I think they're going to try to establish the run more so than normal. I mean, Brady's been chucking the ball a lot this year, but I think you're going to see a little more run game from Tampa Bay to kind of protect Brady from that Washington pass rush, which could, I mean, Chase Young gets a hit on Tom Brady, it could be lights out for number 12.
Yeah, nobody wants to get hit by Chase Young. All right, last thing I want to ask about, for those of you who may be watching in the Hampton Roads area, we do have a quarterback playing backup right now. A lot of folks around here interested in Taylor Heineke. Word has been that we could see some dual quarterback action in this game coming up.
Well, he's got mobility.
Yeah.
And he's got accuracy, and he seems to have the respect of the locker room with the performance he had against the Eagles. You saw how Chase Young seems to have taken a liking
I love it.
To Taylor Heineke. But, I mean, it's very special for us here in Hampton Roads. I mean, we covered this kid when he was a freshman in college and watched his meteoric rise through the college ranks and breaking 730 yards in one game. I was there. It was ridiculous. He ran for another 61. He threw for 5 touchdowns.
You were tired after that game.
It was an exhausting game up and down the sidelines. 4-hour game, 64-61. They were down 24 points in the third quarter, and I mean, he didn't throw an interception either. He attempted 79, 55 of 79.
I mean, this is a guy who's been in the league now for a while. He is very comfortable running Scott Turner's offense, as we saw. Those two have kind of been joined at the hip since Taylor got into the league with the Vikings and later with the Panthers. And the bottom line is Taylor Heineke has shown himself to be a gamer. I mean, you can talk about the size or the arm or whatever you want to talk about. When it's game time, when the lights are on, this guy can produce. So we'll see if he gets into the game, how Alex Smith looks. A lot of questions. How does the run game, as you say, look against that rushing defense?
That touchdown to J.D. McKissick, that was the 5th option.
Yeah.
I mean, that was the running back on a curl route straight to the end zone. That was not the main option. He checked down 4 other guys before he found McKissick and hit him on the money.
In stride. Oh, yeah, it's perfect. So.
Yeah. So, of course, I think we might be a little biased here.
Sure.
But I mean, as great as the Alex Smith story is, I love Alex Smith. It is. I mean, Taylor Heineke, for the people in Hampton Roads to see him in a potential NFL playoff game against Tom Brady. Come on, man. It doesn't even seem real.
From SB Ballard Stadium in Norfolk to playing Tom Brady in prime time. But
I tell you what,
there's a lot to be excited about. And what we just touched on here, that is just scratching the surface. You're going to want to catch our special, I'm going to say it again, playoff edition of the Washington Huddle.
At least one.
At least one. Hey, let's make it more than one. Let's see what happens.
Crazy things happen in the NFL playoffs. I have a prediction coming up on the Huddle on Friday night. You'll be able to see it. I don't want to give it away, but
I don't know. You may not. I'm not going to say anything. Check out the Washington Huddle. It'll be Friday night, 10:30 on Fox 43, of course, with kickoff between the Washington football team and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Had to hold myself. I almost said the New England Patriots with Tom Brady.
I know, it's confusing.
That game kicks off 8:15 over on WAVY TV 10.
And the game, 8 o'clock, Saturday night prime time.
Saturday night prime time.
All the eyeballs, great, big, crazy viewing number. It's just going to be exciting time.
It's going to be an exciting time. Hope you enjoy the game, and we'll see you on the Washington Huddle.